Lieutenant General retired John F. Mulholland, Jr. Lieutenant General Mulholland commanded from captain through lieutenant general level in the Army Joint Special Operations Forces. Following graduation from the National War College in 2001, then Colonel Mulholland assumed command of the 5th Special Forces Group Airborne at Fort Campbell, Kentucky in the immediate aftermath of the attacks of 9/11. Colonel Mulholland commanded Joint Special Operations Task Force North, Task Force Dagger, in the opening days of Operation Enduring Freedom. 9/11 changed the past of everybody in this room. General Mulholland had limited time to deploy and lead Task Force Dagger in the fall of 2001. The speed to war was underway. General Mulholland had to prepare his knowledge of the terrain with limited time. This is where some of the first modern relationships between U.S. forces and Afghans began. Please welcome Lieutenant General Mulholland to the stage.
First, an admin question. Perry Blackburn here? Perry?
Yes, sir, I am.
Where are you, brother? I see you. All right, we got to talk later. All right. Another great 5th Group Legionnaire back there. All right. Ad Maiorem Dei Gloriam. Assalamu alaikum. It's a true honor and privilege to be with you here this evening and to share with you some thoughts about my experience and the experience of the men I had the great honor and privilege of leading into Afghanistan after the terrible attacks of 9/11. And listening to the great speakers before me and listening to the ambassador reminisce about those wonderful hunting trips, and I'm afraid our hunting trips were a bit different. As Tito has said, I had the great fortune of commanding the 5th Special Forces Group in July of 2001. And the biggest challenge facing me as a new commander at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, as a Special Forces commander, was we were all out of money for training. And I was worried about how I was going to train these men to do the things that I know needed to be done. And then September 11th happened, and that changed everything. Within a very short period of time, early October, we were sitting in Karshi-Khanabad Air Base, a former Soviet air base from the war in the 80s, as our headquarters and our launch point. And by the middle of October, we were putting Special Forces teams, A-teams, onto the ground, linking up with their Afghan counterparts. We did this with the incredible and courageous support of our brothers in the CIA, who had re-warmed up the relationship they had with previous Mujahideen leaders from the 80s, and some of whom they had maintained contact with, and found the different ethnic militias that were willing to work to help overthrow the Taliban regime. And that was my mission. My mission was, in words, very simple, in execution very difficult, but my mission was to overthrow the Taliban regime and render Afghanistan unsafe for al-Qaeda to operate any further in that country. And in a mission that people thought would be completely impossible, if not only improbable, within 2 months, we had brought down the Taliban regime. But when I say that we brought down the Taliban regime, I've got to be more specific, because it was the Afghan people who brought down the Taliban regime. My men, the men of the 5th Special Forces Group, the men and operators and operatives of the CIA that were working with us, we provided help, we provided guidance, we certainly provided access to the incredible capabilities of our government, our military has, air power in particular. And we provided some guidance and guidance to the different leaders, Hamid Karzai, Ismail Khan, Dostum, Fahim Mohammed, but it was Afghan men, Afghan women in those military formations on the ground who won that fight. And that, I guess, is part of my message to you here tonight, that it is the effort of a united people, and by that I mean all of us. I mean, in a very short period of time, my men were indistinguishable from the different ethnic militias they were working with, whether they were Tajik, Uzbek, Hazara, Turkmen, Pashtun. They were all working for the same common cause, which was to defeat that evil regime. And we were able to do that then. And I pray that someday we'll be able to do that again. But we also have to keep in mind that it wasn't easy. There were, in addition to actually just conducting combat operations, which by definition is one of the hardest things on earth to do, we were also struggling with the divisions that existed within the Afghan people, within our own government. And so every day was either a struggle with me and some aspect of the American government trying to get me what I needed to do my job, while I was working with my brothers across the different Afghan ethnic groups, trying to get them to work coherently together. But the great lesson that I learned, the great lesson that I would leave with you all, is that when we are willing to work together, when the hands come together in a fist, there is no enemy that can stand against us. I learned the power of the United States military's ability to be incredibly successful against very determined and serious enemies. I may have hated my enemy, but I had to give him respect for their dedication to what they believed in, as evil as it may be. But when the United States, when we realized that with the intelligence community, the military, the Department of State, all the entities of American capabilities come together, single-minded, without concern for who gets the credit, amazing things can happen, and no one can stand against us. And I watched that with my brothers and sisters in the Afghan forces that we worked with and helped build, such as the Afghan Special Forces, the Afghan commandos, who have paid such a terrible price in the aftermath of the collapse. When we all come together, you're no longer Pashtun, you're no longer Turkmen or Hazara or American or infidel. We are all one people together working with a common cause to bring peace to a people that so terribly deserve it. The people of Afghanistan are incredible people. My wife will tell you, when I came home with this incredible love and passion for the people of Afghanistan. And hoping at that time that they were finally going to get the peace that they so dearly deserved after so many decades and decades of hardship and combat. And that day is not yet upon the people of Afghanistan, but it is my prayer that someday it will. Thank you for your time and for your attention. Strength and honor.